Well, welcome everyone. Again, good to see you. So, so as usual, we're going to short meditation at this time, and then we'll continue study or reading about the 37 practice. So let's start with the meditation. So I don't have to say about the meditation, so you all know. So the simple thing is meditation is really the essence of meditation is resting, you know, uh, as deep as possible, resting our body, resting our the uh, uh, speech, or resting our mind as natural as possible. Okay, so please, so let's start now. Lama jino, lama jino, jinji, tsaga lama jino, bade lama vishe wanso dhamma gaji, ganji sujin chuvet. Dambe lam tu tu jino da jave jaza gajin dara dhamma 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 jawa lama jiwa ma gajin dhamma chanchi bachina suwa de da tu ji sushi. Sinje la janga jana nye dada sushi de nila dhamma wa suwa lama nasi nanda lama la nasi shishin su chubama. Gongsu yungzhu de suwa de kawa zungzhu su sinche lo je ye no wa zungzhu je ma sun chenpe jave to chenpe yi xin ha da de zewe da nye ka ten che no wa jimze rinpo chi da sin ye chen ha de su wan de chen ye chen ha de sinche lo sen to de chenpe nam da de wong de chuklu dong wa sinche lo nam wa da chenpe sinche nam chen lo chu son dong wa sinche lam du su chu lam da dong wa sinche lam du su chu ma sen wa sinche 这南一是做教不了新疆老多所在社交全部就跟我这做不了新疆老多所感觉人的现在你不可结果等都做不了全部了，咱等着了，等爸妈走的。现在要到就把看了就感觉就没到就完了，就今天就是个月子把它就叫到就是忙了，看路这些都是有人没得教人去。 大半年到这，你们那边都是运动么？大广场照片见来了，用来光拿这边的，我没什么吃的么？大这边听到人这边进去，搞了大大中这边吃的，那个路到的是三八区边前就常州最近到的结婚多久的？龙泉在的你些前面的机会等等看到看到样，等等这么许多计算当这种等等上哪？ 你老超过当就我看到样，他们没在这里去就把老农这些少的农民带上子，多些强越恐怕牛都说，算就是那种过节，嘛就不能这把年把那块，过年看到人我说。So again, welcome everyone. So I would like to first thank you for everyone here. So as well as thank you for all the organizers. So and giving me this opportunity to discuss some Buddha Dharma, and especially for this 37 practice of Bodhisattva, as I last time I mentioned. 37 practice of Bodhisattva is the essence teachings of the Bodhisattva's path. And especially for 37 practice is about the summary of many of you study the great master Shantideva's text, which is the way of Bodhisattva life. Which is very profound teaching about 37, the way of Bodhisattva life. And this 37 practice is kind of everything's put into the essence one. Each 4 lines, each the teaching here, which is has a wonderful meanings, and it's very simple, and it's easy to understand. Actually, the words is not so difficult. There's not much philosophy, something talking about highly different views and so on. It's not about talking about the Madhyamika view or Mahamudra view or the Dzogpa Shempo views. No, it's just talking about the very everyday, how to practice in everyday life, put into the everyday life. So I'm going to say a few words. I don't have to say so many words about it. So we are in the verses 3, I believe so, right? third one, right? So I would like to ask Katie is going to read in English for me, so everybody can hear that.
And I think Laura's going to share the screen for us. Thank you so much. The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to take to solitary places, avoiding the unwholesome, so that destructive emotions gradually fade away. And in the absence of distraction, virtuous practice naturally gains strength, whilst with awareness clearly focused, we gain conviction in the teachings.
Okay, so which is in Tibetans. I'm going to read in Tibetan also as a blessing, as transmissions. Yungi Bambe Nimu Ripchinte, Nami Maybe Gijol Mangi Pel, Riba Tawe Chula Nishiji, Wemba Temba, Gyalse Laklen. So now this, the fall line, it's talking about actually the how to practice into everyday the how to say the solitude, some kind of quietness, very quietness, you know. As Ali actually I mentioned last time in the mindful, mind training, 37, no, the 7-point mind training time, actually I mentioned it too. So generally speaking, our mind is as an ordinary mind. Let's talk this way. Ordinary mind is very restless, you know. It's always being busy, even our body, or the speech and the mind, and so forth. So here talking about how to be, make kind of quiet, rest, you know. So in order to, so there is so many distractions, external distractions, internal distractions, and so on. So therefore, as a practitioners, to looking for less distraction about going to some solitude place, more very small, kind of quiet, which is wonderful. We must, if has some opportunity for going some place, you know, some wonderful centers, wonderful the retreats, it's always wonderful to do. There's nothing wrong with it. But actually, has to be every day as possible to practice some, you know, solitude, quietness every day in life, which is first the practicing the body as possible, quiet, less. Does not mean there's no activities. We have to have taking some activities. It's very healthy for any reality life too. You know, sometimes we're going too far, so then it is difficult to challenges. So when sometimes it's very clear for us as a meditators, as a person meditators, if person has so many kind of activities of the body, so then the mind is very difficult to rest. become quiet. So there was some activities is necessary. Sometimes too much, then it's difficult. Then become a restless of the body, then it affects into the resting mind. Is quite a bit challenge. So likewise, at the same, the speech activities is, as myself, very aware about it, as a teacher, talking too much sometimes. Non-stop talking, it really affects sometimes so much restless of the mind to keep thinking and again and again. So then it is difficult. So therefore, it's also needed kind of silence, practice of silence. So likewise, same thing in the mind. So mind is a resting mind. It means to free from all the thoughts, generally speaking, as possible, especially disturbing thoughts, destructive thoughts are not really healthy. I cannot rest the mind because of the restlessness of the mind. So they cannot rest the mind itself. So those are the here talking about the most important. Sometimes it's nice to have a place where there is very quiet. It's very, very supports our practices. But I think it's the most important part every day. Even though somebody does not have too long, just say every day 15 minutes, just silence, practice of silence, practice of restless of the body, less, or give up the few 15 minutes, all the activities of the body, all the activities of the mind. I really think that's we can do it 15 minutes, there's no doubt, really. 15 minutes resting body, 15 minutes silence, 15 minutes less thoughts, and so on. So those for this, I think so, talking about. So because of that, when there is less distractions of the body, and the body gets so rested, natural, and even the health-wise, it's very good. The speech also like that. The mind is also like that too. Mind when get really rested, well rested enough. So mind become a more sharp. Mind become a more clarity, to see things much more clear and so on. So that's what this is talking about, Okay, so that's my thoughts about this, the third ones. Now next one is the fourth ones.
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to renounce this life's concerns, for friends and relatives long acquainted must all go their separate ways. Wealth and prized possessions painstakingly acquired must all be left behind, and consciousness, the guest who lodges in the body, must in time depart.
Okay, which is in Tibetan. Yuren Robin Zashi Soso Tembe Bedrin, Nazisho de Legion Rohan, Namchi Tembe, Sendeletan, Gyalse. Now this is actually talking about the topic is about impermanence, the impermanence of life, the reality, nature of everything is impermanence. Doesn't last long, doesn't matter. That is not just only for the practitioner, for us. No, it is the reality, nature. including environments, doesn't last long, or including earth, water, fire, winds, and so on. Likewise, our own, this precious body, it is very precious, but it is nature of impermanence. It's not about talking about nature of death, something. No, it's constantly changes. It's reality, nature. So therefore, we are talking about the true reality, nature of impermanence of external, all the environment, their true nature, or internal, our own body, the reality, nature of the change, all that is a reality, nature. So nobody can stop it. The truth is, nobody can change it. So, but that does not mean we should not take care of our precious body, precious mind. No, we should take care of it. So, more care, more kind of, or protect our precious body, protect our mind, and so on, which is necessary in our life, So it does not mean there is no necessary to have friends, the family. No, we should have. So always should have healthy, should have friends, family, But we have to know the reality, true reality, nature is impermanent. Does not last long. Likewise, same thing, wealth. So the wealth, the ordinary wealth, which we're talking about here, ordinary wealth. Ordinary wealth is precious, there's no doubt. But it doesn't last long. It's always change, And then there's many different wealths here. Ordinary wealth, extraordinary wealth. Extraordinary wealth is the wisdom, the knowledges. Those are the best wealth. They last longer, actually. Ordinary wealth doesn't last too long. The wisdom we receive, wisdom we found, those are last much longer than ordinary wealth, actually. There's many different types of wealth there. So likewise, the same thing, our own consciousness, our own consciousness as well. It doesn't last long. It's like in a spiritual sense, we came this life here, precious life, is not for the forever. We came here for temporarily as a guest in this planet. We cannot be thinking about I'm going to be lost forever in this planet. No, we just came for as guest, Like, for example, we're going to a guest house, we'll maybe stay for 1 month, maybe 1 week, or 1 day, 2 days. Next day we know, but 100% we know we have to go. We have to live here. So therefore, here it's actually talking about the impermanence, the nature. It is very, it's not about the negative way of looking for impermanence. No, it's a positive way of thinking. Impermanence, once we realize the true impermanence, we will have more compassion rises within self, within others, for our friends, family, or our wealth, and so on. More compassion, the true compassion rises within self because we see the reality nature, But it's not easy, it takes lots of practice actually. Especially for when we lost our loved one in our family. It's not so easy, but it is. So rather than kind of sad, have more love and more compassion towards them. Understanding of reality, nature, impermanence. Then it brings us more kind of joy and happy. Also, therefore, this chapter is talking about impermanence. Okay, so now this is the number 4. Now the next one is the 5th one. So please.
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to avoid destructive friends, in whose company the 3 poisons of the mind grow stronger, and we engage less and less in study, reflection, and meditation, so that love and compassion fade away until they are no more.
Okay. Now 5th one. 강단조나 두성 펼쳐시 두성과 배 자완냠주 잠다 닌제 매버리 주치 배 동해봉화 자세라디. I think this has many different meanings actually here. As a practitioner, it's like, for example, for as spiritual practitioners, so must have positive, conditions, which includes the friends, the sanghas, and so on. When as a practitioners, when we have our friends becoming wanting to do more study, practice, meditation, then it affects us immediately. Oh, I want to be meditative. That's very clear, right? So therefore, it's wonderful should have the positive conditions. It does not mean negative friends to give up forever. No, shouldn't. If we give up forever, then that's not the Bodhisattva's actions. No. We give up for the temporarily, looking for the more positive conditions. So which it supports us every day in the practices of the study, contemplations, meditations, which increase, which more. So when we have the not the right condition, then that the positive thoughts is a decrease, or including love, compassion, and so on. So therefore, positive friends and a beginner meditator and a reality life too. And it also happens, right? Really. So lots of we see in our reality life too, sometimes. Because we are so relying on the conditions, So when we have a positive conditions, and then it affects us, right? It's no doubt. Same thing that happens in the meditation retreats too, I can speak lots of stories, my own experience, long time back. So one thing I would say, I'm not going to be judgmental. It's not about that. Last few days, I went to Delhi to do helping my younger brothers. And then I was helping him to taking care of his all this, ready for leaving the airports and so on. So many things to do. So I did. Then what happened is I almost forgot to do my regular meditation practice and so on. Almost the end of the day, I remember, including I was not just my brother, and I have other cousins I met in Delhi, and we will keep talking about it, everything and so on, which is a wonderful time. But at the same time, I almost missed my regular practice. Then the evening, I going by taking my bus, then I have to do it. I open my text, I have to finish my practice regular. I have one, like a whole, like this size of book, almost one book size, which is I have a regular, my how to say, commitment. I did many, as a spiritual commitment from the many masters, I supposed to do it, So which is I haven't so far forgotten. So this last few days ago, it was almost I forgot that one. So then I finished the last traveling by bus, and I'm doing sometimes my prayers, meditation and so on. As soon as I finished, I was so proud of myself. I said, I did it, really I did it. So something like that, right? We are very much in conditions, right? So many things, right? In things. So, or something like that. This happens in a reality too. So then not just friends and families. It's also lots of distractions, right? These days, so many, including the phone, right? It helps, it distracts us. We forgot to study, reading, and then forgot so many other job things to do. There's so many things to do. It's just for example, right? So, but still, it is wonderful. We can have some commitment our own self, like the individual can commit, says, I'm going to 15 minutes every day meditation, which is my always request to people, just say, I'm going to do 15 minutes, no matter. I'm going to 15 minutes reading book today. I'm going to, or do something. I think so. That's wonderful to commitment, but sometimes we miss that part. I by myself too. I tell the truth is many times missed it, but I'm getting better. So, the song. So I always remember myself. Today I say, today my schedule is going to be this way. So therefore, I'm going to finish my practice first, and then I will do the less of them, start the other one. So these things are all we're talking about here. Can be as a spiritual practitioner or in the reality, everyday life, whatever commitment we have, it's very good to training that way. So it's which is the chapter 5. So then this number 6. Do I have time? Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Yeah.
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to cherish spiritual friends by regarding them as even more precious than one's own body, since they are the ones who will help to rid us of all our faults and make our virtues grow ever greater, just like the waxing moon.
Yeah. Which is actually I already spoken few words early, so it's same. 간식되는 예봐 세주시 연제 양보다 편주시. 신이다 뭐라고 리외서 집은지 바자슬라니. It's like same thing. For example, we are gathering right now. Sometimes we gather for study groups or meditation groups, things like that. It's just friends comes together. It really supports so much, even in the meditation. For like say everybody meditate together. Maybe somebody may be challenged during this time, but it helps, supports the effects, good conditions, effects naturally, easy to settle down. That's what the retreat's idea of the retreat, The retreat has many different ways of retreat, kind of group retreats, individuals retreats, and there's many, many different ways the retreat has, ways to do retreats, like same thing. Like same thing is, like study groups together. It helps to sharing our knowledge, wisdoms. So it really supports increase our, all the knowledges, especially here mentioned about the masters, or the teachers, of course, supposed to be, or sometimes we don't know, but sometimes the most a teacher sharing their wisdoms, supposed to be. Like myself, I don't have wisdom to share, but just few words to say. So it helps to the students to continue, encourage to study the practices, which is I really remember myself. I have a wonderful opportunity. I met one of my tutors long time in the 1981. So he was one of my really inspired, which I really believe in myself too. Which I finished completed my master degree. I think it's his energy, his advice, his support. Otherwise, I'd give up that before the finishing bachelor, and give up that. I almost gave up my finish the bachelor, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do study anymore, just give up and start. I talked to him, actually, I remember. I got a big problem with, he was upset. It's not about angry, it's a good compassion, He showed me his compassion. He says, no, you're young enough, you can do what you want to do. You should come back after summer vacation, come back, continue, finish your master degree, 3 more years, finish it. Then you can do it. So I did it. I listened. I don't know. I just did it. So I'm really glad. So what I'm talking about, the conditions, right? So all the positive conditions, including, right? Things like that. So I will stop here. We'll take a short break. Then we'll come back, continue discussion, and then we'll have, after some time, then Q&A too. So thank you again, everyone. See you soon. Yeah. Okay, so welcome back. Continue. We're in verses 7, right? Is it?
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to take refuge in the 3 jewels, since they will never fail to provide protection for all who call upon them. For whom are the ordinary gods of this world ever capable of helping, as long as they themselves are trapped within samsara's vicious cycle?
Okay. Okay, so now this is very talking about the refuge, taking refuge. The taking refuge is actually the essence of the Buddha Dharma, according to Buddhism. So we take refuge from the historically Buddha Shakyamuni as our refuge, as a follower of the Buddha Dharma, because of we believe the Buddha himself is completely enlightened, which means Buddha aware about the reality and nature of all the samsara, circular existence. And Buddha very aware about the enlightenment. So therefore, we take refuge from the Buddha as a refuge, object of refuge. So according to Buddha Dharma's point of view, taking refuge from the Buddha, because Buddha can protect us, because Buddha himself realizing persons, completely realizing person. So therefore, in order to take refuge from anybody, the person has to have some kind of knowledge or realization. So then they can protect us. Somebody doesn't know anything themselves, so then how to protect others? There's no way, right? There's no way to protect others. So therefore we, as a Buddha Dharma's point of view, only taking refuge from the Buddha Dharma as a sanghas. So then there is it's a huge subject about the refugees actually. Then the actual refuge is not the Buddha. The actual refuge, according to the Buddha Dharma, is the Dharma. The teachings of the Buddha is the actual refuge. The reason is the actual refuge is the Dharma. The reason is because through the study, through the contemplation, through the meditation, we learn from that. So we gain the wisdom. So then we, as called, protect from the. So actual protection is the refuge, is the not the Buddha. Actual refuge is the Dharma. So therefore, as according to the Buddha's teaching, as you know, the Buddha said, Buddha can, according to Buddhist point of view, Buddha can only things show us, Buddha cannot take from us somewhere, to make purify or to make clean. So Buddha can only show the paths, So in order to show the path is the Buddha's job. So then realization is depend on the practitioner, like us, students, not the Buddha. So therefore, depends on the Dharma is how pure it is. The teaching itself is not if it's not pure, then there's no way to be liberate somebody, cannot protect somebody. So therefore, taking refuge Buddha, because taking refuge Buddha, reason is the teaching who taught by the Buddha. So therefore, taking refuge Buddha. The actual teaching is the refuge is the teachings. The follower is the Sangha, right? The practitioners. So therefore, the Buddha Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, I take refuge. Buddha, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, I take refuge. The Dharma, and the Sangham Sharanam Gacchami, I take refuge. Sangha. So therefore, it is very important in the Buddha Dharma's point of views. Okay, so that's 7. Now the 8.
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is never to commit a harmful act, even though not to do so might put one's very life at risk. For the sage himself has taught how negative actions will ripen into the manifold miseries of the lower realms, so difficult to endure.
Okay. Shinto suki nisong dunga na dikwele jindu tubeso. Teche sola pachang dikwele. Naya mijin jase lani yin. Now this is very clear, Buddha's teaching is about the, as always speak, sometimes we do say non-violence, whatsoever, according to the follower of the Buddha Dharma, the Sangha, but try to not accumulate, try to not creating, to harming for others whatsoever, it's always do not harm others is the one of the huge commitment of the taking refuge, actually, And when that comes with the bodhisattva, and not just harming other, try to help other. There is the real kind of the practice of the everybody can do it, The reason is hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay. So
Yeah.
The reason is very clear, harming others. It's always it hurts others. And at the same time, it is also consequences for oneself. As long as, so therefore, if somebody could not really help others, do not harming others. It's the best practice about the follower of the Buddha, Okay, so that's number 8. Then the 9.
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to strive towards the goal, which is the supreme state of changeless, everlasting liberation, since all the happiness of the 3 realms lasts but a moment, and then is quickly gone, just like dewdrops on blades of grass.
System de wa tsazi sipashi yuzam shigin jikbe chujin nami minju tabi komo cho dendo nyewa Gyalse Laklen. Okay. So now here talking about the happiness. Okay, so the happiness of the peace. There's many different types of happiness. In the ordinary life, there is so many temporary happiness. So those are according to the here talking about, which it does not mean we should not have it. No, we should have it. It doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with that. Every happiness has its own has a value. There is no doubt. But what is talking about here, Buddha's teachings, according to the Bodhisattvas, particularly 37 practice Bodhisattva, there is some happiness are very kind of temporary, very instantly change. But it looks like sometimes happiness, but it brings sometimes more unhappy. But there is a lot of things out there, a lot of in our reality like that, like very clear for me is one in a reality life, right? It's very precious, all the food. There is no doubt. Having any food, it's so precious. In order to protect our precious body, survive the life. We cannot live hungry forever. No way. But that food is, if we do not really have mindful, if it is too much, then it's becoming hurting the stomach. Then it causes becoming more other challenges, the diseases, including many, many diseases. It's all the come from actually not enough for mindfulness of the food, right? So we don't worry about, so therefore, just like there's many in the samsara, there's many happiness is there, But here, the Buddha's teaching is that
Lama, you're frozen. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. See? Okay, so the real happiness we're talking about here, there's a temporary happiness. The real perfect happiness is the liberation, the reach to enlightenment, which is, so talking about, which we reach into the perfect happiness. And that never going to be changed. It remains, it is, In order to realizing the perfect happiness, but it is relying on ordinary happiness. There's no doubt. Understanding of the ordinary happiness, all the whereabout, everything is very clear, very detailed, is their own nature, So then it is possible to reach the perfect happiness, So therefore, it is reaching to the perfect happiness, not the temporary happiness, So therefore, it is important to investigate in order to aware about, be mindful. There's many wonderful things are there, but that doesn't last long, in samsara, in circle existence. The actual happiness, it's a wonderful happiness, whatever achieved physically, the verbally, the many levels, the mentally, more mental happiness, mental happiness is the really, really precious. It is, everything is precious, but the mental happiness is lasts longer. So here talking about that tabe koma namya minju tabe koma jo tendo nyawa Gyalse Laklen. Okay, so now the 10th.
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to arouse bodhicitta, so as to bring freedom to all sentient beings, infinite in number. For how can true happiness ever be found while our mothers, who have cared for us throughout the ages, endure such pain?
Okay, now here talking about the cultivating great compassion, great compassion for all sentient beings, not just myself, the cultivating to all sentient beings as possible, because of the every living being wanted to happy, joy, peace, freedom, and so on, does not want to be suffering and pain and so on. So therefore, cultivating for all sentient beings, especially here mentioned about our great mothers, all the great mothers here particularly mentioned. But when we practice of compassion, actually the practice of compassion is most important to start from oneself. When the cultivating for compassion for self, then compassion when it comes to the other, then start from other, which is our close one, whoever it is close. Not necessary to be mother, but somebody can be close to the mother, which is fine, to cultivating our own mothers, to cultivating compassion to them, and anybody can be cultivated for any who is close to us, including our pets, animals, and so on. Those who are more close, we have to start from there. The beginning practice, then we don't have to worry about others. But gradually, slowly, then we increase our compassions, become a bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger. Then gradually, all living beings, including human beings, including even though our enemies, there is no such thing as enemy, but it is possible. Sometimes we do have different levels of called enemies, right? But it is possible. So therefore, it is important to cultivating great compassion or great bodhicitta, enlightened mind. So start from the most important, for my experience, my knowledge, start from oneself as possible. If not, start from whoever is close to us, our loved ones. So start from there. So then gradually to transform into oneself is cultivating compassion, which is I found very challenge myself too, cultivating compassion for myself. It's sometimes easy, a little bit more others, including especially for people who are more challenges, difficulty, including like animals. When you see something easy there sometimes, to wish them be free, shouldn't be suffering. And when that comes to the oneself, it's little bit challenge myself too, but I'm getting better, getting better. It's also very important too, kind of balance. Not always compassion to others. It's wonderful. Once there is a possible certain certain level, reach mind trained very well enough, then it is possible to be compassion forever for all sentient beings. That is possible. So here, let's talk about how to developing love, compassion, bodhicitta. How to start from where you're supposed to start. Yeah. So as we discussed about the mind training time, first has to be train the mind to continue meditate thinking, then actually comes to the real actions. It's possible. But those has to go every day in life. It's possible. So that is the talking about the 10th. Now we are in 11th.
The practice of all the bodhisattvas is to make a genuine exchange of one's own happiness and well-being for all the sufferings of others, since all misery comes from seeking happiness for oneself alone, whilst perfect Buddhahood is born from the wish for others is good.
Now this is talking about, as we did in the mind training, relative truths, relative bodhicitta mind training. Here talking about the same things, to exchange our love, compassion to send to the Tonglen, right? Remember? To giving, sending out our love, compassion to others, taking their sufferings and pain through imagination, through breathing, right? At the same here talking about, gradually it is possible to exchange self and others. So it is the essence practice of mind training, actually. Here talking about the same times, So therefore, in the mind training, the beginning 4 thoughts, remember the 4 thoughts, wishing all sentient beings happy, wishing all sentient beings free from suffering and causes of suffering, the compassion, wishing everyone is happy or joy and peace, wishing everyone is equanimity, equal, or so on. So those are the this one talking about the same. It's a Tonglen practice, giving and receiving. This chapter is very profound chapter. Dunga malvi dade dwele chung. Zobe sanji shimpe sumde chung. Teche dade shinchi dunga da yanda jewa Gyalse Laklen. Okay, so this is actually interesting. Actually, many levels to understanding this paragraph, 11th one. It's actually many different levels there. Like for me, for myself, like when I have some challenges, okay, anything. So then I'm stuck there so much myself. I keep thinking about my suffering. How difficult. So I got really stressed, depression myself. So rather than I'm thinking myself, I'm thinking about others. There is like me, myself, as there is some living beings are much more worse than difficulty challenges going on. Even though does not release my suffering, but does not increase my suffering. It's really support to understanding the others and myself, bringing to exchange that way, So therefore in Tonglen practice, remember, mind training, so which is I have a difficulty, I wish this one, through this my challenge, to wish to all sentient beings free from all the suffering which I experience, to free from their sufferings as well. And then mind training again that way, So that's all that. So one of the mind training is one of the essence practice is the exchange self and others. Or time to time, actually, according to our own, sometimes, or time to time, through meditations and through actions as possible, whatever it is possible to practice that again and again. So this is talking about the relative truths of the sufferings, Okay, so now the next one is the 11, the 12.
Even if others in the grips of great desire should steal or encourage others to take away all the wealth that I possess, to dedicate to them entirely my body, possessions, and all my merits from the past, present, and future, this is the practice of all the bodhisattvas.
Okay, now it's in Tibetan. Sudan de Chiwangi, Dagi, no Tamche Trofun Todu, Juna, Luda Longju to some Geta, Telongo, Gyalse Laklen. Now this is talking about actually the patience. Actually. This is one of the training of the mind. Whatever rises within oneself during the, let's say during the practice meditation time, like say when we're sitting meditation time, we have so many, pain here, the pain there, and the pain in the back, in physically. Mind doesn't settle down, and the challenges. Be patient, be patient, continue practice it, or whatever. Or that sometimes when the practice of Dharma, it does not create it more, but it's realizing more challenges there. It's one of the opportunity for the practice of purification, practice of patience, So likewise, same thing here, giving an example, somebody is taking the wealth and so on, or be patient, to dedicate our merit to all sentient beings. The patient is highly taught in the practice of Bodhisattva, and opposite okay. The opposite of patience is the upset or anger, right? That's what we're talking about, actually. The antidote of the anger is the patience, and the patience in a chapter of Shantideva's chapter about the patience, talk about patience is one of the greatest accumulation merit, the best accumulation merit of the wisdom, and merit too. Being patient to anything doesn't matter, or anything. It's always great qualities. Actually, the bodhisattvas, those are the great beings, their quality is the patience, actually. It's nothing about else. They're also patient for everything, including anything, including the food, including the everything, patience. The patience is one of the best practice in our reality life too. Without the patience, we cannot achieve anything. We cannot realize anything. If somebody wants to be a realization of the mind, has to have lots of patience. Training mind is not so easy one way. There's lots of challenges comes, So practice of patience, I believe, I don't know how you believe in it, everybody, maybe you remember. Practice of patience is, all the practice is there actually. Practice of generosity, perfection of generosity is there. The perfection of moral ethics is there. The perfection of perseverance is there. Perfection of concentration is there. The wisdom is there. All the perfections is within in the practice of patience itself. But that is very important practice to have to understand, how wonderful it is if somebody could be patient, anything. It doesn't have to be practiced particularly something else. It's all include there, everything. That's what I believe, but I don't enough for practice, but I understand how connected with the practice of patience, with the practice of generosity, the practice of moral ethics, practice of the perseverance, the practice of the concentration, the meditation, right? Practice of wisdom. There's no such things better than the practice of patience, actually. Really. But it's not, it takes quite a bit. So therefore it is there, the one of the best quality of bodhisattvas is the patience. Actually. The best quality of the great beings, great person, is the patience. Actually, once they have patience, compassion is there. It's not. The love is there. There's no such things have to cultivate something else than patience. No. When we study, when we talk, when we analyzing, then we have lots of things to. The word explains different way. And when we look at the practice point of view, in the very deeper level, the practice point of view, to look at that nature of the true reality, nature of the patience. Everything is there actually. Everything. The wisdom is there, There's no such things have to find somewhere else. The compassion is there. The loving kindness which you talk about, it's there. So therefore, the practice of patience is the so precious things to do. Okay, now would like to stop here. We could not finish. We did finish the 12th ones. I'd like to check. Take some questions from or your comments, or you have any. Many of you already read this whole chapter. Each, as I mentioned, each verses, each line, 4 lines are very powerful. At the same time, if somebody really wants to practice, or of course, and the lines has to be really memorized, it's so precious. Reciting as a prayer, I would like to do that. I try to do that sometimes. 4 lines study, and then to think, what that really means, and then how to practice, right? The whole question is about the challenge part is how to practice, how to bring into practice in everyday life, right? That is one of the biggest questions for us, including myself, So then it's the reciting each line every time, it's very helpful to reflecting the practice, training mind, it's even just the word itself has a great power too. So thank you again. Let's taking your thoughts, please.
One thing, Lama, I was wondering is if you would be giving the whole of the lung today, or if you want to save it for another time.
Well, I will do the end. It doesn't take long. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, so anybody have any questions, any thoughts?
You all are able to unmute if you want to raise your virtual hand or your actual hand.
Lama, I was thinking about your comment about the importance of having compassion for ourselves and thinking about that as it relates to this text, which speaks so much about almost like, well, about putting others first, right? And even like there's a section which talks about placing others above the crown of our head. And so maybe if you could say something more about how we find the balance between putting others first, which we know helps with reducing ego clinging, which is a cause of suffering, and also having compassion for ourselves that doesn't reinforce our own ego clinging, how we navigate that.
Yes, it is here. This 37 talks about so many wonderful things there. Every verse is very very powerful. It has its own makes sense. For my thought is about when the practice comes, when we practice ourselves as a sitting practice, all the actually actions of the practices, then it really had to. The most important part is the to individual too. Like somebody has really challenge for developing self-compassion. So we have to start from there, really. So try to accumulating oneself, compassion or love as possible. Or somebody has a kind of very difficulty to accumulating compassion for others. So then I have to start from compassion practice for others rather than self. Just self live as just neutral, live in neutral, and then developing compassion, love for others again. And like the same thing here, somebody is not easy to it's mentioned here, taking somebody in the head or something like that. So it's not so easy sometimes, but it is possible. All the practices has a really I think for me it's really the most. What I'm saying is actually have to look at one's own situation, one's own state of what is the energy, to practice whatever. I can do this one. I think so. It's important to start from there, which is I could not do right this moment. No worry about it, actually, really. Just start from, continue the focus that way, and then gradually move. You start talking about the different, for example, we are talking about the different patients, we have to be practice of different types of patients here. So continue talking about. So that's I think that's what I try to do that way. Okay, so next one. So, of course, this is also 37 practice of Bodhisattva. I would really suggest to everybody, those who have already read different commentaries there, actually. Many, many different master wrote about it. Pretty sure it is in translated in English too. But it's wonderful to read commentaries and study first, and then it is possible each time some practice, as possible, or try to meditate on each verses, each lines. It's very, very wonderful. So practice. I think so. This practice, this 37 I believe it has a very profound practices. Certain things are there, certain things are kind of a little bit, very, very high, talking about the higher levels of practices. It's quite a bit challenge to believe itself, but it is, I believe so. It's reciting as a prayer, It's wonderful to reciting. I always reciting the mantras. It's always wonderful, but it's nothing wrong. But sometimes we forgot to recite these prayers. Has much more really for me, is whenever I recite, it clicks my mind each time. With different ways it clicks there. So then it is really, really helpful. So that is my thoughts. So please, it's also sometimes in the Buddha Dharma talks, so many wonderful teachings there. There is no doubt. Everything is wonderful, including different philosophies and different things are wonderful there. But this 37 practice is not about the philosophy. It's about the really practice part, actually talking about the really practice part. So therefore, if somebody wanted to, or like looking for how to practice patience, I will say read this one, then think. If somebody wants to practice real compassion, read this one and think about it, and meditate. Or somebody wants to help others, read this one. It will give you all the answer there, actually. Or somebody wants to the practice of including patience, or including some moral ethics. It talks about here how to practice the essence one. So that is my understanding. It's a very, very wonderful the teachings, and not just me. And I heard many other masters mention as well. They mentioned to the students to ask them to read this one, memorize and practice every day. It's like a 7-point mind training. Each line, it's like the same thing here. Each line, as a practitioners. Now I'm going to read. We have a few more minutes. I'm going to read this transmission in Tibetan. Okay, so which I believe I received many masters this teaching and transmissions as well, and especially from receiving from His Eminence Gyalse Rinpoche. He is one of as a really like Bodhisattva in this lifetime, real formal physical form, not really Bodhisattva. This practice, it's all the practice he do every day, so I believe that we have some blessings from him as well. So, and that not just him, and I receive other masters too, So which I'm going to read here, starting from which we are today, the verses 13, which is the 13 one is talking about how to be patient with sufferings. Dala nipa chungse mention to kanda dagin go chena cheshin. Hinje wangi teye diwa dala lemba jasela. Then the page 14. Gashin dala minin no so tusum chabar drober chena ya cham chambes in jala diji yindenju jasela, which is also talking about the patience too. How to be patient with when people criticize you, Well, it happens too, I have still dealing with that. I had a wonderful criticizers there, very much. Many of them. So, then they're here. And next, the verses 15. Roman debut when so gashi with something to hit money. De la Gewish in dish. Kubente Vajaselani is talking about the patience too again, how to be patient when the people are kind of negative towards to you, very negative. And then verses 16. Dagi Puishin Chipper Champion me, Dala Turshin Tower, China, Nella Turpin Mala Puishin, Laborzawa Jaselani, somebody you taking care of very much, always giving you a love, compassion, but they become transformed into your enemy. So how you practice patience with that person? It's talking about this one, the 16th one. Then the 17th one. Around the Nyamba Mebe Chivoshi, Majewang, Native China, Lama Shindo Kibetani, Chivolemba, Jaselani, So that's talking about all the opportunity for practice of patience, how to bring into the negativities into the path every day, And this is talking about the 18, which is the how to patience of the sufferings, all the challenges, suffering and pains. So I push it out of me, subject never digit, Droge de Dala Lige, Shimbame, Jaselani. Then continue here. Never Droshan to Manjiva, the Namdepu and Nodatu Jojan, Sibir Panjak Nimbo visit. Kimbo Meva Jaselani in Jede Chandai. Rangi Shadan to Matuna, Chivo de Wutushi, Pavashu, Ted. Deje Chamda Nije Mabunki, Ranju do Jaselani. This is talking about the practice of love, compassion. As this is talking about, there's no such things outside enemies. There's no such things enemies inside too. No existence. But if there is an enemy, the enemy is the anger itself, is the real enemies. Very, very profound. The words are very direct, very. Debe Yendelense Chudanda Chidam Chidam Seba Pinjava Kamashita, Chiwanga the Tola Pumaja Lali in Chitranawan, the Rangasim, Seni to Netibeta, the Tenis in the Semana Yela Miji Jaselani, you don't know you that Chivana Yaji to Jinjaki, you don't Zeba Maya, the Beta, the Shaja Pumaja Selali. Dunga Nazo Molom, Dunga Nazo Molom Puja, the Truna de Besson, Atachi. The sometimes it says here, very clear, we see the suffering is really real, solid, permanent, unchangeable. Here says, no, suffering is everything is like a dream. How wonderful it is if somebody could really practice that way. To see that really reality, true nature. It's very, very profound. Everything is illusions, the delusions. Chanchu debe leja tango na chero ngobo na mijo, teja linda nami mere, jibatama jaselani, siren meba rande mere na shende druba debe kime de teja seben deba meba, siren soma jaselani, gewe nonchu debe jasel, Niji tamji rinjin terden yin tije kunan shinde mewa ya zaba gomba jase lani. Randun baji dribe nyera yango la meje doda sona yan dribe telo yuti gyune jen tsunde zomba jase lani. Shine rado nembe lado nini mon nambar juma shine. Zume jile yada deva ya samde gomba jase lani. Shirab mena padro shinga ye zobe shenju toba mindepe ya tabda dishi kozum midob. Shirab gomba jase lani rangi tuba rangi madana chibe suji chuminchi sebe teje shindu rangi tuba. Tane pongwa jase lani ye nimo monge jase shinda lani pale na dani nyanjaba tiba shena shuba kanda ki nima miwa jase lani nye go monge penzen suji shen tizung gombe chawa nyanjaba jiten zashi chida jinda chida chawa pongwa jase lani zome tsigi jinten chujin di jawe seche chuzo nyanjaba teje shinde ye dome monge tsigi pongwa jase lani ye nimo kona nimo tongwa me tishin chiwa nimo sido ne shinja chazo nimo tongbo chemati Morjo Cheba Jase Lani Yendo Nakando Cholam Chis, Rangi Singin, Chinda Jindu, Tendo Shishin Deba Yishin Dendriba Jase Lani Yin. Now this is talking about all the, how to say, the essence practice of here. Rangi Singin Deba Chindashi. Whatever we do in everyday life, every day, physically, verbally, speech, the actions of the mind, the thinkable, that says here, everything you have to investigate on your own mind. You have to think, you have to see it. How do you see it? With the practice of mindfulness. It says here, mindfulness and awareness and carefulness. There's three. Mindfulness, the awareness, the carefulness. Through practice of every day, whatever. That is here conclude all the 37 practice of Bodhisattva. Now we have to take one word when we were as a practice, which is, I already mentioned, the word resting mind. The resting mind is all the essence of practice. In order to resting mind, how do we do? The practice of mindfulness, practice of awareness, practice of carefulness. Then it is possible that our mind remain our practice of resting of mind itself, natural, as possible. That's here mentioned as the Bodhisattva name is the Gyalse Tokme Zangpo. He says the practice of watching our own mind every day with the mindful awareness, with carefulness. That is the essence of the 37 practice of Bodhisattva. So again, I would like to thank you, of course, everyone here who have joined many different parts of the world, So I really appreciate all of you, including the organizers giving me opportunity, this opportunity. So say a few words, even though nothing much to say, but at least there is always hope is there. It's so important. If somebody want to find something, anything, this 37 practice is there. Everything answer is there. I would say, we have to research. You have to look at which one is you are looking for it. So please, again, thank you for everyone so much, and then hopefully see you next time, sometime soon. Let's do the dedication prayer. Bodhicitta, please. You have that?
Can you see?
Okay, say in English. Yeah, please.
May the pure brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are fully illuminated and awakened.
Chanjo simcho rembo che maji panam chi jerchi cheba nyeba neba yang kone kondu pewa sho. Okay. So that's the history. There is one. The Atisha received this bodhicitta transmission. He received from his master, name is Dharma Rakshita, I believe. I'm not really exactly sure. So when he remembered his offering this teaching, then he put his hands not in heart. He put hands in the crown chakra whenever, because he remembered he shows his love, compassion, bodhicitta. He transforms direct for him, his master, through Atisha. Then from there, right now, we have this wonderful lineages, So again, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.